Hey guys, it took me a really long time to work up the energy to make this video. On an intellectual level, I understand what happened. After all, I predicted this as one of many options that could have gone down. However, thinking about something and watching the reality is two very different things. They sacrifice a young, vulnerable child. Kamila Valieva is nothing more than material that did not turn into good product, so she was tossed aside. Sacrificing Kamila was a collective decision by Team Tutberidze, the International Skating Union (ISU), the International Olympic Committee (IOC), the Russian Olympic Committee (ROC), the World Anti-Doping Agency (WADA), and the media. In order to not have their dirty laundry aired out to the world, these agencies and governing bodies humiliated and destroyed a child in front of the world. No one protected Kamila. Not in this circus that just took place, and damn sure not in the sham that's gonna take place after. The governing bodies got behind closed door and decided that the drugging of a 15-year-old child was an inconvenience to their plan, and they disposed of her. What happened to Kamila is just too conveniently beneficial to the plans of those in power. Only they won on that night. As for these little girls who are no more than products, there was no pride, no joy in victory tonight. Anna Shcherbakova in the kissing cry did not look like a happy champion. She looked lost and empty. How much did she have to sacrifice and pay for this hollow victory? What about Alexandra Trusova crying out in pain and despair because after years of being told she did not have a gold medal, when she did everything humanly possible, she still did not get that gold medal, leaving her with the agony that she was not good enough? That child was not acting up. She wasn't throwing a tantrum because she didn't win. That was a child screaming out in pain and despair as it overtook her. That was not anger, but that was pain radiating from her body. The mental anguish that that child is feeling will stay with her for all time. Did any of this feel like winning to anyone? Did they look like winners? These little girls did everything they were told because they were promised a dream. However, what we just saw on international television seemed more like a nightmare full of pain and disappointment. What did Trusova have to sacrifice to land those 5 quads? What did Anna have to land her 2 quads? The only person that won was Ekaterina Tutberidze, who has another medalist and who can now move on to the next set of products to be molded into medal-winning material. The sport of figure skating lost on that day. The skaters who wagered their life, their health to be in Beijing during a pandemic lost on that day. The little girls who have been abandoned in pain and heartache lost on that day. We lost on that day. The saddest part is that although we should see some changes be brought about because of this, there should be a proper investigation that is conducted of all parties involved. But the reality of it is we know nothing will happen. Those judges made a mockery of a sport that children sacrificed their health for. And yet, despite the public outcry, they are secure in the knowledge that they will face no consequences. In a few months, they'll be having dinner with Ekaterina as if nothing happened. As for the doping, well, I guess it's time to find a better chemist and a doctor with a little less drugging history. The best outcome I see from this fiasco, and that is if the powers that be are feeling generous, well, the age limit will be raised to 16 years old for legal reasons. And maybe Rusada will be fined. Honestly, that is the best outcome I see. As for a comprehensive drug test that includes blood, urine, and hair, which the IOC could do in order to help clear all the skaters, that won't happen. According to researchers, hair drug testing is very effective and almost impossible to cheat at. The hair follicle can literally tell us what the people was using for up to 90 days. It can also tell us how long the drug has been in their system. But the IOC won't do this. Anna just won one of the highest accolades that any athlete could win. Yet the world can't rejoice for her because it's under the cover of this scandal. Trusova just became the first woman to land 5 quads at the Olympic. Yet all we could think about is, what was the process like? The IOC could have fixed all of this. But they won't. The IOC, WADA, the ISU, they could have removed the cloud from these children and at least allowed them to have a clean win. They could have mandated hair sample to prevent the teamplushenkos from drugging these children. They could have brought back a sense of fair play and fairness to these games, but they won't. Why? Because they are too afraid that their own dirty laundry will come to light. Irreparable damage? Don't make me laugh. Do you know who the CAS was concerned would suffer irreparable damage? It wasn't Kamila Valieva. No, it was the ISU who has too many skeletons in their closets. It was the media who hyped up the Yeteri abuse train and did not want to have to be left cleaning up their own mess. It was NBC who paid $1 billion for the rights to the Olympic and who knew that a scandal, especially about doping in children, would mean more viewership and more money. They didn't want irreparable damage to be done to their pockets, to their bottom line, and no one gave a damn about these children. There was no thrill of victory at this event. However, whether it was Anna, whether it was Sasha, whether it was Kamila, they all suffered the agony of defeat in one way or another. Sasha might have been the one screaming she hates the sport. However, the silence of Kamila when she got off the ice, the look of Anna's face in the waiting room, both spoke volume. As for Teamplushenko, you are lucky someone like me is not Kamila Valieva's mother. Because if it was my child, you had done that too. That you had broken like that. You had better keep your ass in Beijing. Because the second you set foot in Moscow, I don't care if Putin himself sent the secret police to protect you. I would have ran through them like I was the Hawk and I would have whooped your ass. And if I was Sasha Trusova's mother, you better believe I would have been playing interference with the secret police while Camilla's mother whooped your ass. Because you know what? You have a daughter too. You have a daughter and you would never ever let anyone do to your daughter what you just did to their children. You destroyed their daughters and now they have to live with these scars and they have to live with the knowledge that you will face no consequences. This was not just a sad night for the sport of figure skating. It was a horrible night for humanity. The Olympic is supposed to be a symbol of humanity at its best, and in Beijing, all we saw was the horror of greed, corruption, and what happened when no one stands up and children are not protected. I really don't know where we can go from here, guys. I really don't know what's gonna become of this sport if the teamplushenkos become the standard and nothing is done to protect these kids. I really don't know.